Joining me now is former Chief of Staff to Donald Trump, Mark Meadows, to talk about all this. Sir, good to have you on.
Great to be with you. Thanks so much.
Of course, yeah. So what did you make of this spectacle today?
Well, listen, the questions were certainly harder than what flavor of ice cream that Joe Biden likes. And what we found was 18 months of being in a basement and honestly not answering a single tough question, that when you get on the world stage, not only do you get hard questions from reporters, but you actually have to do the job. And what we saw today was that Joe Biden wasn't up to the task. He wasn't even up to the task of picking seven pre-selected reporters to ask softball questions, and he was not able to get off the stage without just having a meltdown. I mean, he was tougher on the CNN reporter than he was on Putin. And sadly, what we see now is that Putin is going to change. He's going to become a lot more aggressive because he saw the weakness of which the United States was portrayed today. It was a sad commentary.
It really was. I mean, if you're Vladimir Putin, you got to be feeling great about all of this. I mean, he got held accountable for nothing. I mean, in his press conference, he was unfazed. I mean, he wasn't scared of anything. He certainly didn't seem like he had learned any lessons. And I mean, this man, Joe Biden, the president of the United States, that's how he sold America on this. I mean, he sold America that Donald Trump was corrupted by Putin, installed by Putin, and he was here to fight back this Russian aggression that was creeping into our country. I mean, it really is. It's almost laughable.
Well, it's laughable if it wasn't so sad. I mean, here's the interesting thing is they always accuse Donald Trump of what they're guilty of. And what we know is that Joe Biden, the appeaser, Joe Biden with the appeasement policy is really at full display on the world stage right now. And so when we start to see that, when we start to see that they're giving away a pipeline deal while taking away the Keystone Pipeline and American workers' jobs, when we see that we got zero in response to anything that was to be offered, it's an F. I mean, Joe Biden gets an F for negotiating style. And I can tell you, when I saw Donald Trump on the phone with world leaders, including the very world leader that we're talking about, it was not a position of weakness. In fact, oftentimes it was a position of demands. He put America first. He says, if we'll take care of the American taxpayer, the hardworking men and women of America, then we'll negotiate. What we saw today was Joe Biden just basically saying, if you pretty please, will you not attack any of these 16 things that are on my list?
Just attack anything except the 16. He should have made a list of things that you're allowed to attack. Now, that would have actually been an entertaining list. You can attack these things, Mr. Putin, if you please. A bit of an unusual moment earlier today, PBS reporter Yamiche Alcindor, and by the way, the media is trying to make it look like they're tough on Russia in general. They're trying to recover their image after all the things they said about Russian collusion. But here's Yamiche trying to recover. Reporter to President Biden, do you trust Putin? Do you trust each other? President Biden looked directly at the reporter and nodded affirmatively. This kind of thing, of course, got Trump called a traitor for something like that. White House Communications Director Kate Bedingfield quickly tweeted out, it was a chaotic scrum with reporters shouting over each other. POTUS was very, very clearly not responding to any one question, but nodding in acknowledgement to the press generally. Your thoughts on that and that nod moment?
Listen, we've seen this play before. We know how it ends. Yeah. You say a chaotic scrum. I mean, President Trump went out for chopper talk each and every time. He had killer questions coming one after another. And today what we have is we want to make an apology on behalf of Joe Biden. Certainly, he didn't really mean to nod an affirmative. He was nodding for some other question that was posed. Listen, if he would open his mouth and say, we're going to hold not only Vladimir Putin responsible, but the Chinese responsible, that's the kind of rhetoric that we expect from someone who campaigned as if they were Mighty Mouse, and instead they're Mickey Mouse.
Nodding when asked if you trust Vladimir Putin. I mean, we remember what the media did to Donald Trump when he met with Vladimir Putin.
Exactly.
We all remember that. Boy, what a different story this is. Former Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, sir, thank you so much for the time.
Great to be with you. Thanks so much.
All right.